Hey, you guys, welcome back to Alex and Andy Live. We are coming to you live from Shanghai, China. Again, as always, it is Saturday, May 7th here in Shanghai, where we are still under a lockdown, citywide lockdown, pretty much over the increase in coronavirus cases that began around March 1st. Today, we had 253 new symptomatic cases, 3,961 new asymptomatic cases, and the magic number 18, we had 18 cases discovered in the community. Alex, how is it going?
Okay. Nothing eventful happening for me today. I did get a chance to have some more of those veggie burgers, which I could enjoy.
Oh, okay.
Enjoying that. But as far as the COVID situation goes, yeah, it looks like really, a very, very sort of marginal, negligible decrease. Although it's good to see it. Like I said, like I've been saying the last few days, it can either go up, stay steady, or go down. And I guess this is steady with a little bit of down. So that's good. We're still north of 4,000. But again, a couple of weeks ago, we were north of 25,000 per day. And so it's progress, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll bring that up so we can get a visual representation. It is ever so slightly down. You see here, we've kind of leveled out, and we're still decreasing every day, but it's very, very slight. And we're actually going to chat with Yang Jian about that very shortly, see if he can explain. But there again is that number, the 18 cases found in the community, which were 18 symptomatic cases. And, if we see before, the peak in this part of the graph here was nearly 1,000, so I'd say about 950 cases there. So we have come a long way.
Yeah, when you see really small numbers like that, that's good. Again, these numbers are the number of infections found each day outside of quarantine or locked down areas. Quarantine obviously meaning, obviously quarantine, the quote unquote makeshift hospitals in those quarantine areas are obviously populated with people who are positive. So that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about quarantine hotels where sometimes close contacts, other high risk people are staying. And then other lockdown areas like my compound that are in the red. I think we are still in the red. Okay. And yeah, so that's the situation. Again, Andy, I know that you had a couple positives in your area recently. I don't know how that affects it. I don't know when, sometimes, as we've seen throughout this entire sort of episode, that there have been situations where cases weren't counted on the same day as they were actually discovered. And so we're not really sure what that's going to mean as far as the math and the numbers go. But yeah, we'll just have to pay attention to it each day as we've been doing. And regardless of how the counting is happening, we just need to just try and hope for as small of numbers as possible.
Exactly. We'll keep an eye on it. But first, what we can do is bring in our colleague, Yang Jian, who takes part in the Shanghai 发布的那个新闻发布 the news conference every morning. So he's quite up on the play. Yang Jian, I was going to ask you, actually, I'm switching up the questions here a bit. I noticed that the daily infection number has, like we were just saying, it's still falling, but it's kind of leveled off. So I was wondering, has there been any kind of official explanation for that?
Yes. The city's health commission today introduced the detailed distribution of the city's new infections since May the 1st, because like you said, the city's daily infection number has been lingering around 4,000 and stopped falling for several days. So the most significant point is, he said, 54% of the new infections were found in the city's locked down areas, and less than a third was found among the close contacts who are already under central quarantine. And there are also less than 10% of the new cases found at the city's controlled and precautionary areas. So the social transmission still exists. And the official said the key sites include local urban villages and older residential compounds. And the high-risk groups include volunteers, community workers, and delivery staff, because they are moving around and contacting a wide range of people every day. So, but fewer infections were found in the outlying districts, especially those already basically achieved a zero social transmission goal. And The official said the only downtown district with better performance is Putuo district. So he reiterated that these anti-COVID fruits are still unstable, and like the vice mayor said, we are like sailing against the current, and we shall not underestimate our enemy, and which is coronavirus, of course. So the he said 3-area designation will continue along with the PCR and the antigen screening. And he said nearly 60 million times of PCR tests were made in the last 6 days, more than doubling the city's total population. And over 100 million times of antigen have been made. Andy.
Yeah. I know there's it's a mass testing campaign underway. I wanted to shift and ask you about something else. Of course, the Gaokao, which is the college entrance exam that students take at the conclusion of high school. It said which would normally be coming up here really soon, but the government has announced this morning that the Gaokao will be postponed this year. Can you tell us a little bit more about that decision and how it's going to work?
Yes, it will become the second time that this college entrance exam, or the Gaokao, was postponed by a month because of the COVID-19, and the last time was in 2020. And the official said this year over 50,000 local students will take part in the annual exam, which is usually deemed as a key turning point of life. And the reason for this postponement is to spare some time for the students to study at school before the exam. The official said rather than to allow them work inside the exam rooms from home directly, since local students have been shifted to online classes and stayed at home for nearly 2 months. And this adjustment was made after soliciting opinions from representatives of local headmasters, teachers, students, and experts. And they agreed a period of studies at school can help consolidate their studies at home and help them to calm down and become more accustomed to the exam environment. And the city authorities said they have mainly made 2 preparations. The first is to offer more helps to students who were infected with COVID-19 or underwent central quarantines, and also those whose parents are taking part in the city's anti-COVID fight or who have poor study conditions. And the second is to make plans for both COVID and bad weather, because July is the city's typhoon and rainstorm season, along with the hot temperature. So, central quarantine exam sites, for example, will be set up for students who are still under quarantine or with abnormal PCR results. And air conditioning has been installed to each exam rooms. And the city's education commission said they have also prepared additional online study resources, including the online classes given by the city's top teachers. And the head of the commission said, we will try the best to arrange the students to study at school together for a while to help them adapt to the offline exams. But the official also said it is still unclear when the students can return to school, which will largely depend on the pandemic situation. And he said after cautious arrangements. Alex.
Yeah. It's a stressful time for everyone, students included.
Yeah, I think a lot of students, though, if it were me, I'd be quite happy to postpone for a little bit and get some more study in, since Gaokao is quite an important exam. Thank you, Yanjian. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, same time.
Okay, see you.
Thank you.
See ya. Yeah,
so
the Gaokao deal. I want to talk about that just real briefly. I mean, I think a lot of our viewers know what the Gaokao is, but it's the test that students take, sort of a college entrance exam that students take at the end of their high school career. In a way, it's kind of tantamount, obviously, for any viewers from the U.S., it's sort of tantamount to what we would have as the SAT or the ACT, but it's actually much different from that and much more important because in the U.S., I'm not sure how it works in New Zealand, Andy, but in the U.S., you take your SAT or ACT, and your score is just one factor that contributes to whether you'll be admitted or denied admission to whatever universities you're applying to. It's just one factor. They look at it among a number of other different factors. But here in China, because there's so many students here and it's such a competitive academic environment, your Gaokao score really is, it's not the only, but it pretty much determines what schools you can get into. And so it's really a very nerve-wracking time for the students in their final year of high school. And it's a really important thing. Given the situation right now, they're already under a lot of stress. And so the sort of the combination of the lockdowns as well as the Gaokao test is really sort of it's more intense than the SAT. Yes, it is. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure. Gaokao is huge. I think we spoke about it on another show. It can really make or break your career, I guess, for a lot of people. Because in China, like you said, it's so competitive to get into these top universities that people, there are just thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people vying for those top spots. And I think it does hark back to the history of China's imperial examination system, which is also a kind of, I don't know, you could look at it as a kind of way of leveling the playing field. So people, regardless of, it's just all based on how much energy you put in and how much study you put into sort of what result you'll get, what sort of life you'll lead later on. So definitely a pivotal thing. So we wish them the best of luck, obviously. That is going to be, he said, postponed for about a month, right?
That's what he said, yeah. So it says it's normally held between June 7th and 9th, and now it looks like it'll be in July. Don't know what that portends for the future of our lockdown. Obviously, today is May 7th, obviously. So, it's not, it can be a little bit worrying to hear dates like June and July and things, given that we've been dealing with this for over 2 months already and been in full lockdown for over a month.
Right.
So I like hearing like things like May. I don't like hearing things like July. That really worries me. But at the same time, this is a bit of a different situation than just getting out of lockdown, because the students have to prepare. The Gaokao is a really big deal, and it's something that we can't just do at the drop of a hat. It requires a lot of preparation from a lot of people and a lot of kids. So yeah, definitely a huge thing. But you're right. I guess you could look at those dates, the postponement dates, if you wanted to, and kind of read into it a little bit as to what the government's thinking about our speed getting out of this, if you wanted to, I guess. Hey, next up, we are going to watch a quick kind of music video. Last night, we had a video from someone from the Shanghai Symphony Orchestra who put together a one-man orchestra song, which was really awesome. Now, today we have another song from somebody called Ma Wei, who is actually from Finland, and he's from the Fudan University Nordic Center. So he's put together this song, which is in a number of languages, including Putonghua, Mandarin, Shanghai-hua, as well as English and Finnish, which discusses life under lockdown. So let's check that out. And then when we come back, we'll have a chat with Ma Wei. Okay.
放屁中收藏起多少晚安，隔离中我孤单地想着你，想还原你的美丽。虽然来自一个遥远的地方，没有高楼大厦，有五颜六色的极光。但我和你有一个共同的梦想， 在窗前只有一个简单的愿望。我想出去有个朋友喝酒，站在维港跟夕阳下的河流。我想回到上海的小马路上，找回那岁月的鸟语花香。我的确来自一个遥远的地方，没有高楼大厦，但有五颜六色的极光。我和你有一个共同的梦想，希望咱们小区明天别再出摇。唱首歌里的歌曲，音乐里找点乐趣，一段锋利的旋律，日子就这样过去。写首歌里的歌曲，希望再携手，也许藏在咖喱呀过着夜里小心的呼的Sing this lockdown song. Maybe time won't feel so long. Войско вапаus spiku hiil ja koittaa. Mut kyl tämänkin vielä voittaa.歌里中，我依然唱这首歌，还记得那些晚安。
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah, that's really good, man. I really enjoyed that a lot.
That was awesome. Hey, let's bring in Ma Wei now. Hey, Ma Wei, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Hey, just really interesting seeing your story there with the different languages and awesome music. So I'm really curious about, before we talk about the song, all about you. So can you tell us a bit about yourself, like where you're from, what you do here in Shanghai, and how long you've been here for?
Sure. And first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a very big pleasure of being here tonight. But of course, so I've been in Shanghai for 5 years now, a little, maybe 5.5. Before that, I was in Beijing also for maybe around 2 years, 1 year to studying Chinese and such. And here in Shanghai, I've been. I was first working at the Finnish consulate, so the Consulate General of Finland, doing culture communications, public diplomacy, this sort of stuff. And then from last year June, so almost a year, I've been working at the Nordic Center at Fudan University, so as the program manager there, and we have many interesting projects, of course, if you're interested, you can check our website at nordiccentre.net. And then, of course, the music part, I've been writing music since 2004. So that's, oh my God, almost 20 years. So I've been writing, majority of my songs are in English, and a few songs in Finnish and a few songs in Chinese as well. So that's something I've been doing for quite some time.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're obviously very talented. I really enjoyed that song. And obviously you do your work in the sort of in the cultural sector. And so, especially since you're at the Nordic Center at Fudan now, I kind of wanted to ask you about sort of in terms of bringing cultures together during this difficult time. Like, what is the importance of this particular song in your eyes?
Well, I mean, of course, the song is a song. I would say, like, the initial idea behind the song was maybe not that grand. It was just to write a fun song during the quarantine. But then I started to thinking about it, and then I kind of wanted to sort of tell this story with the song as well, by coming from this faraway place of Finland, where a very different place. And of course, it's my particular origin happens to be Finland, but that goes for anyone who's coming from somewhere else, and sort of and the idea was that we're all in this sort of situation together. So even though we come from various backgrounds and different places, but here we are all sort of experiencing this together. And so that was sort of one of the messages I wanted to sort of convey with this song, and try to like not make it not make it too serious, but also like to have some humor there, but also to have like this sort of a message there as well.
Yeah, I think you've conveyed all those messages for sure.
Yeah, the message definitely comes through, and of course people say it sounds cliche, but like music is an international language. But I was wondering, what is one thing or one situation that's kind of resonated with you most? Maybe not something you've shared in the song, or maybe it is something you've shared in the song, that you've sort of experienced through this lockdown.
Well, I mean, I think like I've been following your live streams also quite a lot, so I think you've kind of touched upon a similar thing before, that even though like it's a very difficult situation, a very tricky situation for everyone who's here in this lockdown and experiencing this lockdown, but also you can like there's this big community feel about it. So it's it also makes it sort of easier to cope with when you know that everyone is there experiencing the same thing, and also when like something like, for example, I would never have like gotten to know my neighbors for example in a way that I know now. And then, like, for example, if there's some necessity that you really need and you can't get a hold of it, then you can like ask your neighbor, and then maybe in return you can give something else to your neighbor. And so there's this big sort of community feel to the whole thing. So I think something that's been very sort of one nice thing, if you want to use this word about this whole thing, but something like about this.
Yeah, just a sort of a positive. Yeah, Andy and I have been talking, over the last, obviously throughout this entire situation, about finding the positives here. So I agree with you there. So yeah, anything else you want to share with our viewers?
Well, I mean, of course, if you're interested in hearing more of my music, you can find me on Wang Yiyuan. So I have some songs there in different languages, and of course, like you can find my Shi Bi Hao, and if you want to find the original version there. And also one very important thing that I wanted to mention at the very end. Of course, tomorrow is a very important day, being Mother's Day. So I know that my mom is actually watching this live stream in Finland. Whoa. I wanted to say that it's a happy Mother's Day to my mom. So hyvää äitienpäivää, vaikka se onkin huomenna. So in Finnish. So that's but one very important message that I wanted to. So yeah, that's all.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. Such a good reminder. I probably would have forgotten. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. We really enjoyed your song, and maybe we'll catch up with you again later on. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. So I guess you guys, if you want to find him online, it will be this name here, Ma Wei. And we have his Finnish name here as well, but it was easier just to pronounce the Chinese because
Our
his
Chinese
Finnish name
name is
is
better than our Finnish, I think.
yeah. It's like Vili Meti Palomaki. I really don't know how to say it. So you could
Well, I'm
search
gonna call him
Mawei, which
Mawei.
is Mawey, and you'll be able to find his music online.
Yeah,
Really awesome.
He's got a great voice, obviously talented on the guitar as well, but he's got a really, as somebody who has a terrible singing voice, I really appreciate people who don't. And he's got a really nice voice and he's really talented. So it was really cool to listen to that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, very awesome. Hey, I forgot to ask him. I wanted to learn some Finnish, but I think he said Happy Mother's Day at the end, so that was awesome. Lots of comments. People really enjoyed the music video, including Andrea, who said, "I agree. We are all in it together." That is something very important. This community feeling that's come up through the whole lockdown. Obviously, it's a tough time for a lot of people, but there are some positives that are coming out of it, and hopefully, we'll all learn something or grow a bit stronger at the end. It sounds cliche, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, like we've been talking about, Andy, we've got to find some positive. There's no sense in us getting on here and sulking about things that we're unhappy about.
Exactly.
It's not all rainbows, butterflies, and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, we want to try and be optimistic. We know that some people are having a tougher time than others during the situation, and we just want to make sure that we're keeping people informed, and also, just pointing out some reasons why people can be optimistic in this situation. We don't want to be spreading pessimism. We want to spread optimism. So I think this song is another good example of that. Shows us that we've still got a wealth of talented people in Shanghai, as we know. But it's just cool to see it on display.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I'm just checking our comments on Shanghai Ribao Shine WeChat live stream right now. People really enjoyed the song. Moses said it sounds so groovy. Julia said, "Wow, Ma Wei." Jared said very localized. Very true. He, of course, mixed some Shanghainese in there with some Putonghua as well as English and so on. Lots and lots of lovely comments there from the WeChat group as well. So yeah, awesome video there. But what we need to do now, before we forget, is you might remember last night we chatted with our colleague Emma Leaning, who is the creator of the Mental in Lockdown series. And yesterday on the live stream, we couldn't hear really what she was saying. So what she did last night, but I didn't see it because the producer sent it through while we were still on air and I didn't check. But she quickly, after she hung up from our chat, which she knew we couldn't hear, she quickly grabbed her camera and did a short video trying to explain what she said. So this, obviously, she told me to mention that it's not scripted. It's kind of off the cuff. So if you feel like she didn't say, speak amazingly professionally, then, it is what it is. But I don't think there's any problem at all. So let's quickly check out this video.
I do kind of want to just sort of recap a little bit from what I remember.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So she had a conversation with another expat who is a mental health professional here in Shanghai about the question of staying and leaving. There are a lot of people who maybe are considering leaving the city during the lockdown period, maybe to come back at a later date, maybe to make a permanent relocation. Maybe there were some people that had plans to leave that they're now thinking of pushing up given the situation, stuff like that. And she just was, they were discussing the difficulties associated with making that decision and just sort of giving some, what I thought was really helpful, poignant advice as far as that topic is concerned in this situation. So that's what the video was about. And then, of course, we had a chat with them afterwards, but we couldn't really hear very clearly what she was saying. And we both really wanted to hear it. So that's why we got the video.
Yeah, so let's chuck it up now. We'll watch it together.
You just heard nothing of what I just said. But thank you for the compliment on my charismatic body language or whatever it is. I'm going to give you a brief summary and then I will be back on the show and we'll talk about this properly. But in a sense, Mental in Lockdown. It's a series of video calls with mental health professionals around Shanghai, talking about the innumerable ways that lockdown is impacting our mental health. It's a way of acknowledging that what we're going through isn't okay. Yes, we can find moments. We can make moments to be as okay as we can be, whether or not that's, connecting with neighbours or, being involved in online events or WeChat groups, whatever it is. But ultimately, the sum total of our experience is nothing short of traumatic. You don't go through 30, 40, 50 days of lockdown and everything that comes with that, the anxiety of having everything that you need, the fear of getting sick and being separated from your family, the never-ending uncertainty of when it's going to end. You don't come out the other end of that without there being some sort of mental health fallout. And it's something that we need to talk about, we need to address, and also we want to give you some tools and strategies to help you through. And I'm fortunate and privileged enough to be working with some incredible mental health professionals in our community, and they are just jumping on this to fly this flag with us about how crucial it is that we talk about the impact that lockdown and this sustained lockdown is having on our well-being. I know that you guys spoke about the video with the wonderful Carrie Jones. Fantastic episode, and I'm sure many of you are grappling with that decision to stay or to go, and that this isn't what I signed up for. This is not the experience I was expecting. This is not the Shanghai that I know and love. And what does that mean for my future here? It's something many of us are grappling with. In terms of what's coming up, I've got an episode coming out soon about compassion fatigue, which is essentially kind of looking at how everything that we're carrying, all of the trauma that we're seeing, the impact that that's having on us, and how we can kind of manage that and give ourselves the bits of breathing space that we need. We've got an episode about promoting healthy relationships in lockdown. God love him as I do, my wonderful husband. I'm lucky enough to be in lockdown with him, but there's nothing easy about being locked down with somebody for an extended period of time. Then there's isolation for those that are on their own in lockdown. So we'll be addressing both of those things. Uncertainty is something that I keep hearing about in the community. So we've got another episode that addresses that and how to navigate it. And one on anger too. The community's angry about what it's experienced. And we need to talk about that too. And again, how do we channel that? So lots of fantastic things coming up. Stick with us. And really importantly, I've just told you some of the episodes that are coming up and things that I'm talking about. If there are things that you really want to be discussed with the mental health professionals around Shanghai, things that you're particularly feeling or hearing in your community, get in touch. Let us know, and I will do my best to find a mental health professional that can talk to us about it and see how we can help. That's it. I hope that was some help, and I'm sorry that the internet gods are not with us tonight. I will be with you again soon. Take care.
So there we go. That was the update from Emma, which was, as you said before, adding on to the video we played yesterday with Carrie, where she talked about this isn't what I signed up for, obviously, and how a lot of foreigners here in Shanghai are struggling with the reality that they may need to or may feel they need to leave Shanghai because of this lockdown, because of the way China and Shanghai are going. It's tough. Alex, I know you have a few friends that are going through that dilemma now.
I do. I've had some friends who have left the city but remained in the country. I've had a couple of friends relocate to Chengdu, actually, in the last month.
Nice city.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite cities in China outside of Shanghai. Yeah. But, I also know some people who have left. I know some people who are planning on staying. I know some people for whom they haven't made the decision yet. It's still sort of up in the air. They're kind of, just waiting to see how this turns out and how long it lasts. I've got some people that plan to leave, next year who are pushing that up to in the nearer future than they had planned. Stuff like that, and I understand and respect anyone's decision. I can completely understand where they're coming from, and so I think I wanted to point out that all of the things that Emma brought up are super important, and are things that most people, if not everyone here in Shanghai, is dealing with. And I definitely will be keeping track of her column and her series where she interviews different people and writes and talks about these issues, because I think they're really important. They're something that I am dealing with, and I think a lot of other people are as well. And so, I'm really looking forward to see the remainder of her series.
Yeah, so that is Emma Leaning is Mental in Lockdown. She has a normal column, which is called Emma Leaning is Mental, which is in Shanghai Daily every week. And
Andy might be breaking up a little bit. Is it me or is it you, Andy? I'm not sure. Travel with John. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can't hear Andy right now. I'm not sure if I'm talking over him or not. Hopefully not. But Emma, her series is available on our website, shine.cn. You can go and search her. She's also got a really good column that she was doing before called The Oyster Pail, which is also a really interesting read. And then this series, Mental in Lockdown, is also super important. So that's where you can find her content. I'm not sure if I guess Andy's connection. Sorry, guys. Of course, during lockdown, our connections have not been the most when being stable, and so sometimes we have issues as far as that goes. I'm guessing that this is an issue on Andy's end this time, even though I've been the one that's been having the issues over the last few days. Let's see. I'll blab for a minute if we can get him back. So again, Emma's stuff is really important. I haven't plugged my own column yet. I do have a column as well. It's called The Commotion Metric, and you can also find it on our website, shine.cn. I talk about mostly just sort of food, sports, culture, different quirks and idiosyncrasies that exist under normal conditions in the city. And so if you want to check that out too, that's my thing. So that's what we've got. Andy, so Andy, we can hear you just now. That's better. I see you moving around.
Oh, sweet.
There you go. Okay.
Hi. Sorry about that, you guys. I could hear you the whole time, Alex. So thanks for wrapping it up. Yeah. It is. She has a column called Oyster Pail, blah, blah, blah. And did you get a chance to talk about your column? It cut out just
The Commotion Metric is my column. It's not super old. So there are only about a dozen stories so far, maybe a few more than that. But I think that it's interesting. It's definitely, I don't talk about COVID or anything like that in my column, nor is it about mental health. It's just about fun little interesting things, sports, culture, just interesting spots in the Shanghai, foods and things like that. So it's lighthearted in nature for sure. So if you want to read something about Shanghai that isn't COVID related, you can check my stuff out as well.
Yeah, no, I think it is important. And what we should do probably, in fact, I'll ask the viewers now, do you guys think we should add a part of each show, don't say singing, that is not anything to do with COVID? Leave a comment now and we'll see what you guys think. And we'll try to find some content every day. I think, Alex, do you remember how many days we've been doing this live stream now for?
Well, let's see. I mean, we started 4 days. We started March the 28th, which was when the Pudong lockdown started. So that's 4 days, plus April would be 30, plus 7 in May, 41. I think we took 3 times we took off. So that would be 38. This would be episode 38, if I'm counting correctly.
Whoa, that's here now. Episode 38. Okay. We already have a comment from Travel with Jean in China who said that sounds great. So yeah, we'll try. I know you guys want to hear us singing, but I really don't think we can budge Alex to do it. But if you guys send some super stickers, we'll see. No.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway.
Now, I don't get this because I don't watch Star Trek. What is this?
I'm not sure. I never watched Star Trek. I watched Star Wars, but I was never a Trekkie, so I'm not really sure. I'll have to look it up.
Wait, so Star Trek, the TV show, Star Wars is the...
Correct. That's right.
And Star Trek was the one that had the
William Shatner. Say again?
Shatner.
Yeah.
And the guy with
Shatner was Captain Kirk on Star Trek. That's why Bezos had him go up into space recently. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So you had Captain Kirk up into. Anyway, I don't know that much about Star Trek. Both of them have total cult fan bases. I'm not super into either one, but I would say of the two, I'm much more well versed in Star Wars because at least I've seen all the Star Wars, but I haven't seen a whole lot of Star Trek.
Nice. Okay, well, I reckon we'll leave it at that for tonight. We'll see everybody again sometime tomorrow.
Yep, same
time tomorrow. The new late dates. Just mention really quickly, today blood went down slightly, but not terribly. We had 253 new symptomatic cases, nearly 4,000 asymptomatic cases, and 18 cases. We're still getting downwards, and we'll give you the latest news
Yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful evening and a good day tomorrow, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Beijing time, Shanghai time as well. Same. See you all tomorrow.
Here.
Thank you.